of that warm welcome which I so richly deserve but so seldom get. How many of you have figured out through perceptive intuition that I'm not a native Texan? Okay, we have a semi-alert group here today. Owing to the fact that I'm originally from a different country, and owing to the fact that we might have some communication problems, I want to set the parameters right. So raise your right hand for me like this. Go ahead. This is America's universal symbol for fantastic or absolutely nothing. So put it now on your chin. For those of you who missed, the chin is this pointed thing at the end of the face. And I know I have my work cut out for me. Whether you realized it or not, what you did was react to that which you saw instead of respond to that which you believe. Reaction is based on life's possibles. Response is based on your permissibles. Reaction is anchored in perception. Response is anchored in belief. Right about now, a good percentage of you have a perception. You're saying to yourself, he's from India, got to be a doctor. Some of you are pretty sure I'm an engineer, and 3 of you are betting that I own a motel. And all of you are entitled to your own opinion. Perception is like the general and his lieutenant who got on a train. As soon as the train left the station, the general and his lieutenant sat next to this beautiful girl who was sitting next to her grandmother. The train entered the pitch black darkness of a tunnel, and there the entire compartment heard 2 sounds. One was the sweet nothingness of a kiss, and the other was the resounding thud of a slap. Immediately, perceptions ran rampant throughout the compartment. The general thought to himself, bravo, soldier, grabbing the initiative, taking the kiss, but why did Grandma slap me? Grandma thought to herself, the indignance of that young man kissing my granddaughter, I'm glad she slapped him. The young girl thought to herself, I'm so flattered that the young man thought me pretty enough to kiss, but I wonder why Grandma slapped him. The soldier was the only one who knew the truth. In that brief moment of opportunity, he grabbed the kiss and slapped his general all at the same time. Sometimes in the pursuit of fame, in the search for significance, in the desire for that elusive excellence, we all remember the slaps and forget the kisses. We've all been bumped and bruised, hurt and harmed, scarred and scraped, and somewhere along the line we said, I don't want to play anymore. From the mouth of a legal immigrant across these celestial shores to this hallowed hall, take this to the bank. If you were privileged enough to wake up and call this great and glorious land home, you have already won. If you as a nation don't do anything for the next 500 years, the country that comes in second will wish it were you. And people look at me and say, well, that's not fair. You've been on both sides. You know which side the grass is greener. You are right. I have been on both sides, and there ain't no grass on the other side. Someone said, dude, how poor were you? We were so poor, we'd go to Kentucky Fried Chicken, lick other people's fingers. This poor and this poor. We was poor. We didn't have tracks to be on the other side of. Now we had running water. If you needed it, you ran and got it. And that's not reasonably far from the truth, because Dad did study under a street light and Mom was a child bride. What I'm about to share with you in the remaining time I have is a process that will take you to literally the heights of your own capability. But you have to understand what success is and what it isn't. In order to understand what success truly is, you have to understand that the areas for achievement in life are like spokes in a wheel. Unless each of those spokes are equidistant from the hub at the center of that wheel, life's ride will go thump, thump, bump, bump. Our natural tendency is to always blame the road. But in order to set goals in each of those areas, you have to understand what balance is and what it isn't. Success is not who you are in relation to the person sitting next to you. Success is who you are in relation to where you began and what you began with. In fact, raise your right hand for me now as high as it'll go. Now raise it higher. Why didn't you do that to begin with? I said as high as it'll go. The difference between where you think your limit is and where it actually is called the edge. But many people never get to the edge because 97% of the people in this world operate in the comfort zone. 3% of the people in this world operate in the effective zone. The difference between comfort and effectiveness is called growth, and growth is uncomfortable. Eric Hoffer said, in times of change, it is the learners who will inherit the earth, while the learned will find themselves beautifully equipped for a world that no longer exists. In Texas, we call this the dead armadillo syndrome. I don't know how many of you have ever seen a live armadillo. I've never seen one. I've lived there 20 years. They're always dead in a 70-mile-an-hour speed zone, but there are 3 things I do know about armadillos. 1, they're slow. 2, they're ugly. 3, they're dumb. Doesn't make for a winning combination in life's highways and byways. I wonder why armadillos don't have a meeting like this and say, dude, dad died here. Mom died here. Everyone we know died right here. Let's find a school zone. Sometimes before you speed up, you have to slow down. Everybody wakes up in the morning, looks in the mirror and says, mirror, mirror on the wall, do I have a prayer at all? If the mirror ever told you with that kind of hairdo, go back to bed, listen to the mirror. If you walk out in life looking like you've been weaned on a pickle or like the picture on your driver's license, ain't nobody going to treat you like a glamour shot. If you're happy, tell your face. Foundational living is understanding the 4 primary reasons why people don't set goals. And the first is fear. And the fear is the fear of criticism. The fear of the I told you so people. The fear of everybody in your life who loves you so much that they don't want you to progress because mediocrity and misery do love company. Many of us are afraid of critics. In fact, when I spoke in San Francisco, California, a gentleman wrote a very scathing review about me. He said one of the speakers was a husky Indian in a finely tailored suit who had some perky cones about patriotism and was a pseudo-disciple of Zig Ziglar and for whatever reason left to a thunderous ovation. I wrote him back a rebuttal saying, dear sir, the freedom of speech that gives you the right to pen your eloquence is the same one that gives me the right to share my thoughts. First, you called me a pseudo-disciple of Zig Ziglar, and I looked up my Noah Webster dictionary from 1828 that Mr. Ziglar gave me, and I looked up the word disciple. It says student, a constant learner, like in Disciple of Plato. Mr. Z would be proud. Second, you called me a patriot with some perky cones. I said, I will give you a challenge. Take any speech from Patrick Henry to Martin Luther King. You take a day to prepare, I'll take a day to prepare. When you speak, they will stand and clap. When I speak, they will stand and march. Don't doubt my patriotism. Third, I sent your article to my parents in India who don't know what a critic is. They were just glad their little boy's name was mentioned in the same article as Rudy Giuliani.